welcome to the pod. That one was for Shelby. And then myself, Bryce Coons, and Shelby, we're back, and we're here with some more AI and cybersecurity news for you today. So let's just jump into it. So I think you could tell from my appearance today that I might be lacking a little bit of sleep, and I blame that wholeheartedly on Sam Altman and his monetization team, because they dropped that Sora app, and I just stayed up all night making AI brain rot. You know what I mean? So if you're not aware, OpenAI has released a new social media app called Sora, and this is basically a TikTok competitor, but it is all AI generated. So if somebody else has a video on it, you could click on the video and click like, you like it, or you gotta click a button and say like, hey, let's remix the video. And if you give the platform approval, it will do like a scan of your face, and then you can overlay your face into any of the videos that you're remixing. So like, let's say, the video of a dude riding a dragon or whatever, and then you can say like remix, and now make it Bryce riding a dragon. And yeah, so it's kind of fun like that. You could also like set it up so your friends can use your likeness in the platform. So like I sent an invite. You need like an invite code to get into it, because it's kind of like a really closed club, right? And because I don't really have any friends besides you, Shelby, I couldn't really get an invite code. So I may have like done a little Bryce magic to get an invite code, which involved computer running autonomously for a couple days. I'm just saying, 6-digit codes, eventually I'm going to hit a number that works. And
I mean, with 6 digits, they're almost asking for you to... It's an invitation at that point.
Exactly! That's what I saw on the screen when it was like, enter 6 digits. If you don't have this, you're not in the cool club. I was like, oh, really? I'm going to write a freaking Chrome extension, and it's going to try every combination possible. And it did take 2 days. I'll give you that. And if you have friends, it's probably a much easier way to get access to the platform. And I apologize to whoever's invite code I stole. But, because when you sign up, you get 4 invite codes automatically. And so you have like a number, and it's like, Bryce's number is
it's limited to how many people you can invite.
Yeah. So I totally hijacked, I apologize to whoever that was. I hijacked your code. But if it makes you feel better, I gave it to 4 of my friends. And so then they have codes to give back. So I could give, it's like what's that give back pyramid scheme thing, where like people buy each other stuff and then
Ponzi scheme.
Have you ever seen this is definitely related. Have you ever seen that Netflix show? What's that Netflix show? Shoot, man. Oh. I Think You Should Leave. Have you ever seen this show, Shelby?
No.
Never
heard of it.
There's a sketch in the show where the guy pulls up to the drive-thru and he's like, hey, can I get a cheeseburger, right? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And he's like, I'll pass it on, so I'll pay for the car behind me as well, right? And then the car behind him pulls up and it's like, hey, they're gonna pay for yours. And they're like, oh, that's so nice. They're like, we'll pay for the one behind us then. And then the guy immediately comes out of the drive-thru and just whips around and cuts off a bunch of cars and gets back in the drive-thru. He's like, I'll have 20 cheeseburgers, 20 fries, 20 shakes, 20... like...
But isn't he taking advantage of himself? Because he... Oh, I guess it would be the person in front of him because it's behind him.
And then that person's now paying for the 20, right? So
I see.
I just think it was funny because there's a lot of stuff in that show where it's like, you don't really see the twist coming, right? But it's kind of one of those comedy things where it's like hard to watch at times. It's like cringe comedy. This is very related to Sora. So anyways, Sora, they released 2 things. They released a brand new model called Sora 2, and it's a really good model. Things that it includes voice or sound generation as part of the video clips, just kind of like Google's VO3 model. So that's cool. And then it also has better physics, in my opinion, than VO3 does right now, in the sense that, like, if you say, like, do a gymnastics person or do, like, an ice dancer person, like, the gymnastics will look less AI-ish and more real, right? Like, VO and the other video models often have issues, especially with gymnastics videos. Like, arms become legs and all sorts of weird monsters. So it seems like it's a little better on that, although the videos they showed, and then Bryce trying to make same thing, my videos were... They definitely cherry-picked some examples in the launch video.
Right.
But, I mean, you can make some cool stuff. The other thing that's kind of, like, annoying about Sora, just to be totally blunt, is, like, every other video I try to generate on it, it gives me a content block warning, right? It's like, you're violating this policy or whatever. And I'm like, you're the one who did the violation. I was like, put Bryce in the Matrix. And then it would, like, spent 20 minutes trying to make the video. And then was like, can't make the video because it's too violent. And I'm like, I didn't say do anything violent, man. I just said put Bryce in the Matrix. You're the one who came up with this whole, like, Bryce is violent thing, like, projecting this toxic masculinity. Anyways, it's like, so there's still, like, some, I don't know, it's still beta-ish, right, I would say, but...
Interesting.
But I made a video, and some random people liked it, and then I just stayed up all night making more videos, Shelby. I'm like, I gotta make more. Anyways, there you go. So, Sora 2's out. That's the new video model. It's pretty cool. And then Sora, the app, is more like a TikTok competitor. So, two different things, but using the same name. And, you know, I got one invite code left, so it's for you, Shelby.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm kind of curious. Is it amusing to go through the videos like it is on TikTok? These AI generated.
It's highly addictive. I mean, this is definitely going to usher into a new era of AI brain rot, you know? Like, which, like, I don't know, I have, like, mixed feelings about. Like, I know everyone hates TikTok. They, like, say, oh, I hate TikTok, it's so destructive, and then they spend a bunch of time on it themselves. But, like, is TikTok any more destructive than... like the people of the past that would just sit in front of the television and watch whatever garbage was coming out their face all night long? And, like, I get it, man. I'm freaking tired after a long day of hard work, but I don't know. I mean, I do think it's probably more destructive than TV, but I don't know. It kind of has a similar impact. If you're going to waste your life, you're going to figure out a way to waste it, you know? So, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Shelby? How do you feel?
Well, I'm probably in the same camp as you on that, because if I had figured out a solution for like the doom scrolling, as I call it, like I would have gone to bed earlier last night and probably the night before, you know, just kind of wasting time. So it definitely seems to be like human nature where we run out of time or we run out of energy before we run out of time, and we just kind of want to be entertained, right? I like the idea that Sora is just upfront about like this is AI generated content, because right now when I'm going through videos or social media or whatever, I'm still adjusting to the reality that like a lot of the content is AI, because I don't think first like, oh, this is AI. I'm like, I'm like, wow, how'd they do that? They seem to be defying gravity, you know? And like my brain still hasn't quite made that switch of being like, no, that's not real. And yet I was seeing some stats yesterday about how large percentages of the content as well as the like social interactions we're having, like comments and things like that, is not from people. It's not from humans, right, at this point. But we just don't realize it because they have accounts and they comment. And now with AI, their comments are more intelligent and they're interacting. And it seems like we're conversing with a person, right, on the internet. So I kind of like that it takes away that ambiguity and it's just like, yeah, this is AI. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. Seems interesting. You're saying it's better than the other AI videos have been so far, but I'm still just picturing like those super wonky ones where the human body just like turns into a spaceship and zooms off or something. But sounds fun.
I mean, you could still get wonky generations if you want, and there's still times where like you put a prompt in and you have like a clear vision in mind, and then the model just does something totally different, right? But it's definitely less wonky than, you know, it was a year ago. So it's way better than Sora 1, right? Like Sora 1
Gotcha.
versus this makes Sora 1 look very, very unusable, right? So
Sounds pretty fun.
I think it's kind of nice too that like if it's just brain rot, then the bar's not very high anyways. It's not like you're trying to like build an entire motion picture video off of this. Which, by the way, did you hear the news? They are building Cardboarding the movie. Have you seen Cardboarding videos on the internet?
No.
This is, someone came up with this idea, and I think they're using like the VO3 to generate them, where instead of skateboarding, they're skateboarding on top of a car. So the car's going off the ramps and like doing 360s and like, and now they're like building a full like feature movie all about cardboarding. Anyways, if you haven't seen the cardboarding video, definitely check that out. That's hilarious as well. So
Funny. I have seen parodies where like people joke about going to the movies of the future, and you go to the box office to buy your ticket, and they're like, "Would you like an AI generated movie or a human generated movie?" and the consumer goes, "A human movie, please." And they're like, "Okay, that'll be $200 for that ticket." You know? I'm like, "Okay, fine, an AI generated movie." And they're like, "Okay, that'll be $8." And then they go watch it, and it's just like overwhelming and like just wacky. But it does make an interesting. It'd beg an interesting question about content creation and entertainment and video creation for the future.
yeah, personally, I'm really excited because I don't know if you've ever looked at the movie industry, but like the budget required to build a film, it's just insane, man. Like it's an insane amount of money. So like if people don't, that's why we just keep getting like Avengers 23 and Avengers 24 and Marvel whatever, because it's like they don't want to take a risk. It's too much money to spend, $300 million on something and then it like bomb on opening weekend, right? Where now I think like at the beginning of the Silicon Valley phase, it was like any kid in their basement can build a startup and now can become the next Bill Gates, Like, yeah, it's kind of BS-y, right? Like, those people, most of those successful people also had connections with really rich people, but whatever, whatever. We won't talk about that. But now I feel like we're getting that same renaissance, but with videos. It's like, you could be a high school kid, because like I was super into video editing as a high school kid, but you could make like really cool films, right? And like if you make something short, like cardboarding or whatever, probably something better than that. But if you build something cool, maybe somebody in Hollywood sees it and is like, yeah, let's fund that dude, right? And maybe, do you know why Adam Sandler keeps getting his movies funded? This is a great
Why? I don't know.
So everyone always gives Adam Sandler, whatever.
Colonel Sanders.
They always give him a hard time, right? Because they're like, your movies never crush it at the box office anymore, or whatever. But then he makes a new movie every year, right? And so eventually people are like, how does he keep making movies if they're not like that successful at the box office? And so they started to look into the business case of it, and they realized that he makes the whole movie in 6 weeks. Right?
What?
Typically, his movies crank out into 6 weeks, right? And it's typically like on a skeleton crew. Like it's like, he's got his AV person, he's got his camera person, and they just like go around with him for like 6 weeks, right? And that's it. That's the whole like cost of the movie. So it's like he's producing the movies at 1/10 of the cost. So yeah, they don't have to generate the same level of revenue as Lord of the Rings to become profitable. And from an executive standpoint, they're like, like $10 million for his Adam Sandler movie versus $100 million for Lord of the Rings. Like, let's do the Adam Sandler one, man. That seems like a safe bet, right? And like, he's got enough of a cult following that he's always going to turn a profit on it, no matter how bad the movie is, right? Like me, I'm always going to watch it, no matter how bad it is. Which reminds me, Halloween's coming up, so it's time to rewatch Hubie Halloween. Have you seen that with Adam Sandler in it?
I have not seen a lot of his movies.
It falls in this category of not that good of a movie, but I'm sure he cranked up really good profit off of it. So, just if you're listening to Adam Sandler, I love your movie. It's the best. If it's anybody else, it's not that good of a movie. So, but you should still watch it.
You gotta own it or not, Bryce. That's pretty.
Adam Sandler, if you want to buy some merch on the podcast, I'd appreciate that. So we don't really have merch to sell, but I'll sell you like an invisible rocket if you want. So, $1 million, invisible rocket.
No, you should ask
All
to
right.
be in one of his movies. So,
Oh,
funny
dude,
fact,
I would love.
I like kind of grew up a little bit on set on for like TV shows
Really?
and movies. Not like anyone important, just like extra work is they call it being an extra in the background.
Yeah.
Kind of person that walks from point A to B or something like that. Just kind of gives it the background noise and feel of being a populated space or whatever. So yeah, I started to see how like I was like, this cannot be cheap. You've got hundreds of us here for this shot, and we're only getting 10 seconds worth of the show. And like it's just crazy the cost that must add up in that. But
Yeah.
kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is it's kind of cool because, like, if you have someone who's really good, and historically they've never been able to break into Hollywood and get their films funded or whatever, I mean, they're going to be able to do a lot more with just these existing tools that exist, right?
Yeah.
And, they're probably going to be able to, like, be like, hey, uncle, give me $1,000 so I can afford my Sora bill for this month, And then if we make money off the movie, I'll give you back the return or whatever. So
Changes
I
the game for sure.
yeah, like, yeah. Yeah. So I wish I had a rich uncle. Don't you? So many possibilities in high school would have been unlocked. No, just joking. All right. So by the way, someone asked me the other day if my name's Bryce Coons, right?
Yes.
They're like, "Oh, Coons?" They're like, "Are you related to George Coons?" I was like, "You're like George Kurtz?" And like, they're like the CrowdStrike CEO, and they're like, "Yeah, you related to him?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely. He's my uncle. It's cool."
That
I was
would be
like,
cool.
"How did you get Kurtz out of Coons?" Right? By the way, and hopefully this person's not listening to this podcast because I just totally leaned into it. I was like, "Yeah, he's my uncle." I don't really like to talk about it though. He's like, if my uncle was George Kurtz, I'd be telling everybody. I'd be hitting him up. He's like a billionaire. He's like, he'd be funding my next startup. And I was like, I don't think it works like that, man. I was like, so, anyways,
You'd be the kind of nephew people hide from.
for sure. I'm the one that's like in the back room, typical IT dude in the basement, right? Like you don't want to go down there. But anyways.
Funny. Well, I've
All
got a
right, what you
story
got
for
for us
you.
this week? Yeah, do it, Shelly.
Okay, so in this, and apologize if it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's because I don't know what I'm talking about because we are taking a left turn into another world. We're going to talk about the biochemical and protein engineering. So basically, there's this international team of researchers, and the source I saw, it looks like it was published just a couple hours ago, like less than 2 hours ago. So that's pretty exciting, brand new information. Basically, they did a bunch of research on the system. Let's see if I can explain this. It's the system that will screen the orders that customers send in to a protein engineering, like synthesizing company. So basically, a customer puts in an order, please make this for us. It's got it's like a DNA set of orders, I guess. Make this, build this, so they can use it in their product to sell whatever it is, to sell some sort of protein, right? And so before you just go make that order as it came in, they screen it to make sure that they're not going to make some sort of a dangerous protein that's going to hit the market. So they have this screening software, and what they found was what the researchers did is they tried to circumvent the screening, and they were able to successfully make 75,000 variants that were dangerous or like harmful proteins that were able to get past the screen. And the way they did it is they basically used AI to make structural tweaks. Well, sorry, they used AI. There are a couple open source AI tools that you can use in the development of designing these proteins. So I'll call it AI powered proteins, right? And it's basically the AI is helping design them. And any tool that can be used for good can be used for negative, which one of the lead researchers on this is from Microsoft, and that was kind of his quote, was saying like, this is a tool for good. We're making a lot of progress with like in biochemistry science. However, anything that can be used for good can also be used by those who would abuse it. It does, I think, have a kind of a high barrier, right? You can't necessarily take advantage of this without having some sort of base understanding of what's going on. But as AI improves, those barriers are also going down because you can basically have AI do a lot of that work for you, right? Of bringing that expertise. So basically, what they did is they took these the screenings. So the screenings have signatures that they look for. They're looking for certain dangerous sequences for these proteins of known dangerous proteins that they're like, no, we don't want to put this onto the market. However, what they're looking for is mostly naturally occurring sequences. And so, what the researchers did in their research is they did like structural tweaks where they changed the sequence. However, it basically still has the same biochemical effect. So, it doesn't match the signature anymore because it's not the same sequence that would be naturally occurring. And so the article I read, it called it a biochemical disguise, basically. Um, so that was great. So the attack was basically a detection evasion for this protection. And also, I think they're just able to churn it out so quickly because AI is doing the legwork here. They're calling this a zero-day attack, AI-assisted protein engineering. And so this team of international researchers, they developed and deployed patches to this open source AI protein maker so that they could improve detection rate of synthetic homologs, is what it's called. It's not perfect, but it did bring that error rate down to just a 3% error rate, which is a big improvement. So that was fascinating. I don't know. It's wild to me that thinking of the barrier to entry for like someone who wants to take advantage of this, they don't have to be a top tier scientist anymore because AI is bringing the level of requirements down of like understanding to even like get to that level of being able to abuse this. But yeah, we're just basically trying to prevent the creation of bioweapons, things that are going to be incompatible with life, right? So it does represent a big risk for our people. So I'm really grateful to this team of researchers who made that happen. What are your thoughts, Bryce?
Dude, it's a crazy day and age to live in. Like, so basically they're creating bioweapons and then using the AI models to try to like mutate them in a way where they'll pass through the checks so everyone thinks they're benign, and then when they get into the market or whatever, then they'd have the devastating effect. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I I hope people don't do stuff like that. I mean, but I think history shows that humans are consistently make bad decisions at times. So we'll probably see more of that in the future. The one thing that that I think is kind of cool is, like, let's say you know certain countries like don't have access to the best medical care or the best you know latest prescription drugs, right? And I'm not trying to talk about the ethics of this, but like there's drugs in the US that are sold at a premium to basically a lockdown market like the US, and other people in other countries just don't have access to those capabilities for typically like decades, right? And so, I mean, if the sophistication level on producing the drugs is lowering, I gotta imagine the sophistication level on reverse engineering the drugs is also going to lower, and just the cost to like reverse engineer and reproduce them is going to get lower. And so we'll probably see like a lot more knockoffs come out of foreign countries, the existing drugs, right? Because one of the things that you have now is maybe like and I don't know this medical world that well, so I might be off, but I'm assuming you have like a cluster of like really well paid top tier researchers, right? And that most of them are probably working for like US based or European based firms or whatever. And so like all the knowledge and talent is basically locked up in their heads, right? Well, now you're going to enable some guy who's like, you know, maybe doesn't have all the skills that that person has, but he's like, I'm in the middle of the desert out here in rural or wherever in the universe, and but I can access this AI, and with the knowledge I have and with the AI, we can reproduce this drug that these people need to improve their lives. So, I mean, obviously there's like some patent infringement stuff associated with that discussion, but so that's one aspect that I think is probably going to maybe not be net positive for pharmaceutical companies, but definitely net positive for the world, right? You know, and I think there's like two other things that are really interesting in this space is like, one, the idea of like drugs customized for your genetic or physical current state. It's like right now the way that the drug industry works, at least from my perspective, is they produce something that they think is going to have a specific effect. They run clinical trials with a bunch of humans, and they're like, okay, like on 80% of the humans, this works great, right? Let's roll it out, you know? And like on the other 20%, it just doesn't hurt them or whatever, you know? But it's like, the issue is like, I feel like it's a very medieval like approach, right? Like the reality should be like, I should go into the doctor, they should like take my blood, they should take like, you know, different scans of my body, and then they should say like, okay, based on all this data, we have this base drug, and then we're going to customize it using AI this way, and then we're going to give it to you, and it's going to be like 10 times more effective than if it was just like the generic across everybody, right? I don't know, have you ever taken any of those like tests, like the gene site test or anything like that to see what particular drugs would be good with your body or anything like that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so I didn't really even know those existed until I was talking with my friend, and you know, he was trying to talk to me about serious stuff like how to improve your, you know, your body and mental health, and I was trying to create videos on Sora. So, you know, like, I was joking. Actually, that's kind of true. That was exactly what was occurring. But anyway, so apparently you could take these like blood tests, and they can say like, based on your genetics, like these types of drugs are completely ineffective, and these other types of drugs would be way more effective. So, like, for example, like, let's say, you know, like a typical SSRI, like Lexapro, that's effective on like 98% of people. But, you know, he took the drug test, the gene site test, right? And it just came back and said like, yeah, this drug has no effect on you, right? So anyways, I just think like, you know, think about that, but then scaled up with AI, and then the ability to actually customize the drugs on the fly, right? So I think that's going to be cool. I think another thing that's going to be really cool, which I saw this on Wired the other day, is that they're using AI to remove harmful elements from particular substances, but then keep the the good parts of the substance, right? So, and this, I know this is going to be like a polarizing thing, but specifically that there's a company, Mind State Labs, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to take psychedelics, drugs, and remove all the psychedelic effects. So like when you take the drug, you no longer go on a trip and see weird stuff, you know, like goblins running by or whatever, you know, like that doesn't happen, but then you just get the good effects, like the you know, I don't know what it is, like the endorphins or the good feelings rush through your body. Right? So basically like they're using AI to modify psychedelic drugs so they don't have any negative effects, and they have all the positive effects still. And
Interesting.
you know, I know for some people like they're like, well, why would you want that? But like I really think that like there's just like, even based on what I've seen with people, there's just people born into this world where they're like base happiness level is a lot lower than other people, right? So like they just don't have the same, what do you call them, like
Brain
you know, they
chemistry.
don't, yeah, brain chemistry, right? And so, you know, if there's something we could do for those people that have like a lower baseline base chemistry to get them more where the average is, I mean, that could have a huge impact, like on suicide rates, like productivity of a society. Like imagine your workforce; they'd be way better, right? Happier people are always better, right? Or maybe not, but Usually, as a general rule, that's usually the case, right? And then, so anyways, this company has already used AI to remove the harmful elements from one psychedelic, and then they're already in a human trial phase. So they're doing their first human trials with it right now. So this isn't like science fiction. Like, I mean, it's, you know, to be determined whether this will actually come to market, but, you know, I mean, they're trying it on humans right now and seeing what's going on. So. Anyways, I know I got a little off topic, Shelby.
That was fascinating though, because even just like your use case, there could be a very broad application, but even just your use case of like your example of the SSRIs, I've heard those are so hard because it just affects different people differently, and there are lots of them that you could try, and it takes a long time to get on them or get off them, and they can have side effects. And like, if you could better understand your own body chemistry and how it's going to work, because AI is going to speed that process up. And then just get you on the right medication the first time instead of the fifth time of trying, you know, like, seems like it would really benefit some people's like quality of life.
Yeah, I think we're gonna look back in 50 years and been like, psh, that was medieval. Like, just like assume it's gonna work with them. Like, what type of nonsense is that?
Yeah.
And like, I really think in 50 years from now, like our grandkids or whatever, they're gonna be like, that was so dumb of you guys. And I'm like, I 100% agree with you. I was like, I think that was dumb too. I was like, there's just no alternative at the time. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I'm excited for the medical advances because it's a very complicated thing, right? We know a lot, but there's so much we still don't know, and hopefully that can just speed up.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see that Claude Sonnet 4.5 dropped?
Tell
Came
me
out?
about it.
It's even better at coding than the other models. Can you believe it, Shelby? The coding's getting better at coding.
Yay!
But no joke, like, I've kind of been in this state where I vibe code every day, and I kind of do that on a couple different levels. Like I have like APIs that I'm building. A lot of those are in Python. I have like front end frameworks that I'm using, like Vue and Next.js, and then I also have like static websites. And for the last couple months, I've had a really hard time giving people a solid recommendation, like which one's better, like Gemini 2.5 Pro, GPT-5, or Sonnet 4, right? Because honestly, like sometimes, especially with like the more, like with the backend tasks, like the APIs, all three almost operate exactly the same, in my opinion. And so I was just using Gemini 2.5 Pro because it's a tenth of the cost of what Claude costs, right?
Gotcha.
And then on the front end tasks, it's just random. Like, I don't understand. Sometimes you tell these things like, make an awesome design that looks like this, and it like comes back and you're like, wow, that's way better than I thought. And then the next time you do the exact same thing and it's like, that's awful, dude. Like, that doesn't even look good at all. Like, what were you, like, it's like, you didn't change any of the variables, right? And so I've been frustrated with that. But I have to say, after using Sonnet 4.5 this week, like, it's better than Gemini. It's better than GPT-5. It's better. It's a step up for sure. Just, I'm able to get stuff done faster. That's all, right? So like the error rates have gone down. You know, the amount of times where like I have to come back and like re-prompt it has gone down. And when you look at the charts, it's like a 10 to 20% gain in on the SWE benchmarks, which is not like a huge jump, right? When you're looking at it, at least from my human testing, it's been enough of a jump where I've just stopped using the other models, right? Even though this model cost me 10 times more, right?
I was gonna say, are you gonna keep your other subscriptions or drop them?
I just keep them because next week they'll have Gemini will come out with something, and then somebody will come with something, right? So
Sure.
I mean, at some point this is gonna settle, and at some point whatever you have is gonna be good enough. Especially if like the stuff I'm doing is not that advanced in my opinion from a coding perspective, and so like eventually we're gonna get to good enough. But like, I don't know. I think for the next 2 years there's gonna be like this back and forth before things settle. One thing that is really cool about it though is Sonnet 4.5 has the ability to just keep iterating until it gets really large feature requests done. So some startups are basically saying like they will tell it to go start a feature, like add a feature to the platform that's huge,
Hmm.
and then it will run by itself for 30 hours, like up to 30 hours, and then at that 30-hour mark, like it will come back with the completed solution. So, which
Is it
like is
like
obviously not
compiling
mine.
by itself too? Like compiling and testing?
Yeah. So what I do with mine is I use an MCP server, and I tie the MCP server to a Chrome browser, and I put the Chrome browser in debug mode. And so basically, Cursor, when I'm coding, uses the Claude LLM, and it knows there's this MCP server here. So whenever it wants to like see what the website looks like, it goes to the MCP server, which then goes to the Chrome in debug mode. And you could actually see if, I mean, so you could run it headless, but if you run it with the GUI, you could actually see it like browsing around Chrome and like clicking on stuff and like filling out the forms. And then it can take screenshots too. So if you're like, fix this icon, it looks bad. You can see it like in the thing. It's like, okay, taking screenshot, and then it has the screenshot in the log, and it's like, nope, doesn't look right. Oh, let's try this. And then it takes another screenshot of the browser, and it's like, oh nope, doesn't look right. Let's try this. And it'll just keep iterating until like it gets to a point where it thinks it's done, right? And so yeah, I mean, that's not a default setup, but that's also not like a very hard thing to get running, right? Like I could show someone how to do that in an hour, right?
That's wild.
So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. There's other frameworks that can probably do some of the browser testing better, like, and faster. But like, I do some pretty like hackerish stuff at times, and so I need like a full Chrome browser environment that it can just like remotely control. And yeah, anyways, I'm not really talking about some of the tech I'm building, but like yeah, I have some stuff that's kind of outside the norm, right? Um, so yeah, it's cool. It's a big upgrade. So if you haven't tried it yet, I've been using it with Cursor. If you're doing some vibe coding, definitely check it out.
That's incredible. I was thinking about it, like it kind of feels like if you were a junior developer or something, you're like watching Big Brother Sonnet 4.5 walk you through like the whole process. Like if you had that sort of setup, you can like use it not only to get stuff done, but also to like learn how to do it. But I'm not even sure if learning how to do it is even necessary anymore. It almost feels like it's already got the expertise needed to, like, you don't need senior developers. It seems like you just need kind of like architects.
Yeah, one thing that I've been really interested in lately is, and specifically, this is related to software engineering, but I've been focusing more on the cybersecurity side of this, is over the next 5 to 10 years, like what are the job functions and tasks that typical cybersecurity people are doing today, and then which of those are gonna exist in 10 years, right? And unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who you are, a lot of the tasks that are going to get fully automated are the things people like doing today, from my analysis, and a lot of the tasks that are not going to get automated by AI are like the very much like human driven stuff, like go talk to this team and make them feel good about it, right? And then coordinate with this group and blah 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 blah. Like, and a lot of it's like put the inputs into the AI, then let the AI do the cool stuff, and then review the outputs, right? So like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like an old dude and like I think assembly code's cool or whatever, but maybe the new generation will think like that's stupid or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like to a certain degree it is automating a lot of the really, really technical stuff, right? And we'll always need industry experts to are able to go under the hood and debug and things like that. But I think just I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, we have entire teams of just SOC analysts right now sitting there triaging notables, right? And then you kind of have this Sora industry, which is trying to augment it, so they have to spend less time per notable. browsing to tools and things like that. And I don't really foresee a future in 10 years where you need like this 24/7 around the clock thing. Like I really see like in the future you're gonna customize the security platform for your enterprise. You're going to insert the policies, the rules, the guidelines. You're going to say like when you hit these thresholds you need to escalate to me for review and approvals. There's going to be tasks that you're going to kick off based on like what the CISO wants, like hey, we've got this new backup solution, I want you guys to dig into it and make sure it's secure. So you're still going to be on the input side and you'll still be on the output reviewing the work side, but like I cannot see in 10 years a human being as good at searching logs as an AI. Like, let's just be honest, man. I was like, most SOC analysts that I've seen, like, they do the bare minimum to get the job done, and then they move on to the next notable, because they have so many notables to go through. And, imagine a future where it's like, hey, if it doesn't hit these criterias, you're authorized to just go auto-remediate that, whatever that means. Like, if that's message the user on Slack, or format the box, or whatever. And if it's like a higher critical thing or something outside of your complexity, then notify me, and I'll work it, right? So, I don't know, I think these huge body shops that we have now of SOC analysts, which is basically the way people get into the cybersecurity industry, that's usually kind of like the gateway drug of getting in, because those are the junior roles. I think those are going to be greatly diminished in 10 years from now. And the people that have better communication skills, especially better oral communication skills, like people that are going to be able to like take what happened in the AI auto triage systems and go to like the CEO and explain to him like, hey, we set it up like this, this was the expected outcome, this is what actually occurred, here's what we're doing to remediate that. Like, those type of people are gonna like get promoted, right? And then the other people, like I don't know, man. I mean, I think there's gonna be less and less job opportunities in those other spaces. So get really good at talking. That's my advice.
As a former SOC analyst, I kind of I would think of like, I'm trying to figure out which functions AI could do really well and which it would need human assistance to do well. Because I think like a lot of triage could be AI driven, right? Because I saw through my progress through like as the SOC that I was part of matured, like we went from running searches to like building dashboards that could run 50 searches at a time for us and just give us the results really fast. Or like, it went from that to automated playbooks where depending on what notable was triggered, it could do the correct response to serve up the right information and could either auto close it or escalate it to a human analyst, right? So like finding these ways to take down the human work and reduce the repetitive work. But I think a couple areas came to mind, and maybe you can help me think more creatively. Because I was like, I feel like humans might do a better job of these two than AI, but AI is quite capable, so we'll see. Maybe it'll do better too. One is detection engineering, right? It's you mentioned like doing your inputs, customizing it to your environment, but like your environment is constantly changing. The way your product work changes, the way your users use your services changes, and so your and attacks, TTPs change. So like your detections would have to evolve, and I wonder if AI would, and it probably can. I guess what it would need to do is be proactive in researching new and upcoming TTPs, and then write signatures for it, search for it, and then tune those. So I think tuning is another big part of that. If you're getting too many notables, chances are you could benefit from some tuning. And that, I feel like, in my opinion, tuning is like a never-ending task. It's like doing dishes at my house. Tuning is just a daily part of life where your rules are never quite perfect, especially if you're in really big environments. So I wonder
Yeah.
how AI would do at tuning. if it needs that human feedback to help train it to know how to tune, in which case the human might as well do the tuning, right? Or if it could learn to do the tuning as good or better than a person. And then my last thought with it, where I wonder, like, human versus AI, who can outperform in the coming years, is just threat hunting. So, um, new threats come out, a new one hits the headlines at 6 a.m. and by 7 a.m. you're searching for it in your environment. I'm sure AI can assist in that, but I wonder if we just need to set up like automated feeds to look for new things that you need to be hunting for in your environment, or like maybe everything's quiet, you haven't had a lot of alerts, but there might be something persistent and quiet, someone sneaking around in your network, or like just those like extra hunting things beyond the signature based attacks, the ones that can kind of smell like, oh, something about those logs doesn't feel quite right, but it's not actually hitting any alerts. So those are another couple of the ideas where I was wondering, I wonder who in the end will be better, AI or human, or like human expert, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's three buckets, right, for at least the next 10 years, which is like, this is a task being done by a human today, like as part of their job role, and AI is going to be able to fully take that over, right? Like, so if that's the case, if I'm like advising you from a career perspective, I would say lean away from that as much as possible. And then there's two, this like middle ground, which I think this is kind of like the disputed ground, which is the augmented ground, right? There's like Cursor isn't like reading my brain waves and saying, Bryce, what's this app? And like automatically coding it. Like I still have to tell it what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, Cursor, this is what we're doing today, or whatever. So that's clearly like in this augmented space, right? But then am I reviewing every line of code? Like maybe when it breaks, I look at it. But if it doesn't commit and I click refresh and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted, I don't go look at the code. I'm like, yeah, that's somebody else. That's future Bryce problems. I'm like, that's not today Bryce problems. And then there's this third category that's like, I just don't think in the next 10 years, like AI is going to have any significant impact on. Like, trying to convince your boss to give you more funding, I don't think. I mean, AI might be part of your strategy there, but that's like almost entirely human driven, right? In my opinion. And you might be using AI to help bounce ideas around or something. So maybe that's on like the lower augmented end, but like it's still mostly like a human thing. Like,
Are we still assuming my boss is a human in 10 years?
I kind of was, but I mean, this is a whole another rant, and I know we don't got time for this one right now, Shelby, but personally, I would much rather report to an AI agent than a middle manager human. Because, like, middle managers are so... And I've been a middle manager, so no offense, right? But, like, it's the super most... It's like you get no glamour, you have no power, because every real decision you're forced to go up the command chain to get approvals on, right? And then you're still forced to, like, turn around and try to make all the employees feel good about it, right? And, like... It's the worst, man. Like, I feel bad for middle managers. I would love it as a human if I didn't really have to talk to a middle manager, like as part of my work role, right? Like, because does anyone ever feel good when they're talking to their manager? Maybe I just have bad managers, but or maybe I'm just a bad manager. And then, but, like, you always feel good when you're talking to your peers, right, in the org chart. You know, like you're like, because you're helping each other out, or, you know, that's assuming that they're decent people, right? There's always exceptions there. But then like the manager is always like this weird relationship where it's like you're trying to convince him that you're adding as much value as possible. And then there's a bunch of people doing gamification because they're like, okay, I know this is the time where he has to put in his recommendations for promotions. And so I'm going to kiss up to him right before promotion time or whatever, right? And, like, that stuff just drives me crazy. Like it'd be way better if, like, you were just talking to an AI agent every day. The AI agent was keeping track of everything that you're doing, right? And then also, like, being helpful, like, objectively helpful. Like, hey, you're doing really well in this area, but this is the other area I need you to do better at, or whatever, you know? And then at the end of the year, it's like, I ran the stats on everybody and their daily performances, and here's my recommendation to you, CEO, on who you should promote and whatnot, right? And so, there's still some human gamification there, but, like, I don't know. That's probably a bad idea, but in my head, it sounds way better than the current state. So, hey, what's your thoughts, Shelby? What do you think?
I don't know. No, it's interesting to think about. I was actually kind of thinking about like like the two things like being impartial. I bet the AI would be less likely to like play favorites or um, show bias that could be hurtful amongst a team and things like that. So like that could be cool, right? That could be one
Yeah.
benefit. But then I was wondering like on the other side of like I guess the more human side when life hits you and you're like trying to ask your AI boss like, no, I need a little bit more time off, and they're like, no, everyone gets 15 days a year or something like, or and you're like, no, my child is very sick or something like that. When life hits you and you have to have those kind of conversations, humans tend to be, good managers tend to be understanding and supportive of you as holistically as a person. And I hope that our AI overlords, middle managers or whatever, could do a similar thing. But I think the idea is interesting, yeah, because a lot of what their role includes is like communication, which an AI could do, reporting, which an AI can do. And right, like you said, like they're not usually the big decision makers. They've got a strategic direction, and they just kind of um, make some decision making within that realm. But that's something AI could do, or I don't know, or could lead a team of individual contributors in discussing to come to a conclusion. I don't know. Interesting thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I highly doubt, like, if I was like a VC company, that would not be an area I'd be investing money in, because the problem that you're going to have is like the decision makers to decide whether they're going to buy your software or not are going to be like, no, let's not buy that software because it's going to ruin my job, right? But if you're like automating a SOC analyst job, that's totally okay, like invest in that all day long. It's like such a double standard in my
The
opinion.
level of decision maker on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to like target the market and build something like an AI manager, but it's gonna be a long road, because I feel like you gotta like hit the startups and like get the startups using it, and then it just becomes part of the corporate culture as the startups grow, and then you gotta hope that the startups, when they get acquired by the bigs, don't like just smash that whole middle manager AI software or whatever. So there's different philosophies when people do acquisitions. Like, some companies are more like, hey, we're gonna like slowly roll this and figure out where it makes sense to collaborate, and there's like, we'll figure out how we can synergize and things like that. And then there's like the like, yeah, that's nice, you guys got like 3 lines of code I want, now you guys go re-engineer that to put it in our stack, and whatever you were doing, just throw away before that, because that has no value added, right? So I mean, there really is those two philosophies out there, like, if you kind of see it. And like, I mean, I think it really comes back to like the corporate culture, right? Like, is your way of doing things more important than, and the best way to do it, right? Is that your viewpoint? Or is it more like, hey, everyone's got unique pros and cons on their perspectives, and, if we band together as a team, we're gonna like, come to a good solution as a team, right? And, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons of each, right? Like, really rigid solutions where you have to fit into the way they operate. I mean, they're more scalable, they're more maintainable, they cost less. Once they get them working, right, it's great, right? You're all, like, you have a homogeneous environment that you have to worry about. But then on the flip side is like, there's always pros to using different technology stacks, and there's always a lot of pros, especially if you're like valuing creativity, right, and letting people try things new, right? And if you're like, no, you can't do that, it's got to be, this is the way we engineer and this is the way it's deployed, then you're like, well, this solution's not going to work with that, so we're going to lose out on all these other pros. So anyways, that's more of a rant. we could talk all day. All right,
I'm
you
just
seen
sitting
anything
here
cool in the
thinking
last
about
week?
I'm just sitting here thinking about like the values that managers add. I feel like they also help with like morale, and I think that would be a little bit harder to get from a non-human, right? So, anyway,
Don't
sorry.
want
I
to.
do have
Don't
an
want to
interesting
make.
story for you. A happy.
Yeah, lay it on me, Shelby. Lay it on me.
We all could use some good news. Okay, so there is a company in India called Indo Wood, and they are using some agricultural waste to like build stuff, which is cool, so that you don't have to chop down as many trees. So what they do is they take rice husks. So when you harvest rice, they like smack it to get like the rice pieces out, and then you're left with the husk. So they collect the husks, they dry them out, and then they grind them up into a fine powder. Then they add some natural resins to it, which I don't really know what that is, but they add natural resins to it. And then they mix that up and heat it. And then it comes out and you can press it into a shape and it turns into a moldable and strong material that is supposed to be able to replace MDF and plywood.
Really?
So yeah, it's really cool. So you can use this to create doors, to create furniture, to create, just whatever you'd use plywood for or MDF. Because I found out through this process, like apparently like MDF and plywood sometimes have toxic resins.
They do? Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, I don't think many people are licking their MDF, but still, maybe don't. But this is a little bit more natural and it's kind of using what we already have because rice husk is just a byproduct. And they're also not recyclable. However, with Indowood's product, it's kind of cool. It's also like shapeable. So like they showed as it's like cooling down, like you can have this board that they make and then they can like bend it and shape so it looks like a carved piece of wood, which is kind of cool. And then as it dries,
Yeah.
it or it cools down or whatever, it stays in that shape. So it's versatile, it's strong. They are waterproof. They are flame resistant, which is great for building structures, right, for people to live in and stuff. And they're also 100% recyclable. And they also have a buyback program. So if you buy this wood from this company, this Indo Wood company, use it, and then years down the road, tear it down, you can actually just give it back and they can reuse it and they'll buy it back from you, which is super cool. So
Dude,
very sustainable.
that's amazing, man. You'll have to send me the link afterwards, or we'll
Okay.
put it in the notes, because you, yeah, I'm just, I love, yeah, I love all these new materials and technologies and the construction that they're going to enable, and also whenever you can do something and it's like, more sustainable or more renewable, I don't know, you just feel better at the end of it. Like
Yeah.
you're slightly happier about what you did. So, anyways, yeah, that's cool. Um, let's see. One thing that I thought was cool this last week was I don't know if you've ever used Google's Notebook LM product, but it's kind of a cool product that came out a year or two ago, and you can like drag and drop different research papers or different websites into it, and then it will make um, a mind map of it, so you can like click on an idea and then it'll show you the references and all the documents that relate to that idea and things like that. Well, I guess a lot of the lead devs on that product left about a year ago, and they've been working on an app, and so I've been using the app a little bit. It's called Hux. It's Huxe. And basically, it uses AI to create kind of like a daily update on whatever topics you're interested in, and you can just read kind of like the cards or notes about the topics, and then click on them to kind of like get to the source articles and see more info. Or you can also they have like a audio recording where like a person will like read you the updates each day. And so, at first I just kind of like imported the typical things I would research, like cybersecurity and AI. But they actually have a lot of topics. Like they have sports in there, and they have like medical stuff, and I found that like because these are all kind of like almost like not TikTok-ish, but like really short form updates. it's like it makes it me more willing to like listen to something that's kind of like outside of my target domain, because I'm like, well, it's like a 60-second bite of today's updates on this area, so like I'm not like losing a lot by listening to this. And then you're kind of like, well, this is really interesting, like F1 racing is interesting, or UFC fighting is interesting, or things that, so it's kind of been helping me like broaden my horizons as far as like interests go, right? No, I don't think it's like the best, but it's better than anything else I've seen in that kind of like AI auto-generated news feed per day, right? So anyways, it's worth checking out if you like some of the Notebook LM features, or you're just looking for kind of like a new way to digest news each morning. And as far as I know, it doesn't cost any money, so I haven't paid them a dime, so I'm sure that's coming. But yeah, enjoy it for today. So there you go. There's my wait for it, Shelby. Cool thing of the week.
You're supposed to bring sunglasses.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you for your cool thing of the week.
Yeah, thank you, man. I liked your cool thing too. All right. Well, anything else you want? Any party thoughts, Shelby?
No, I liked your micro learning daily news update thing though. That's pretty cool, Hux. But
yeah. All right, and I'm gonna check out your materials. So I'm gonna send it to. I got some friends that'll be interested in that. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.